I think for the role of AI to in this battle against COVID-19, I think actually AI is a superhero in this battle, because without AI we cannot even win this battle. I saw there a lot of like AI monitoring system at the public entrance in Shanghai city, and was developed by like CloudWalk, the Yunchong technology, right? And also some screening AI tools for the hospitals, like developed by the E2, and they just gonna have some chest CT scanning and to do some AI analysis on that to tell if the patient was infected or not. But not only this screening and those preventing, but also on the new drug developing, because I heard a friend of mine, he's a professor from Shanghai Jiao Tong University, and he told me that they got a new government funding for the new drugs developing for COVID-19. And they also use those AI modeling to training their algorithm to tell the relationship, to tell and to understand the relationship with the coronavirus and the protein and the RNA in our body, so that it's really fasten their time to develop this kind of new drugs. And they're also another branch of their university. They are using the AI modeling to predict the developing trends of the coronavirus, so that they can help control this really high risk movement people. So I think actually AI play a very important role in this battle. So, but yeah, actually, coronavirus was a buzzword in VC industry. So I saw a lot of investors, they are looking at those startups who are working on like this treatment or this curement or this detective tools from the AI industries. But I think this kind of booming was somehow should be a very short-term booming. But from a long term, I think to do this situation, this pandemic, really to attract the people's attention on the AI technology. So it's it's a mutual benefit, yeah, for the investors and for those startups.
It sounds interesting because it looks like AI is embedded at any level. So we use it in the micro level to control the population, just to understand who can get the virus. And in the micro level, we are going just all the way to the bacteria actually themselves and viruses, and try to just figure out like the rules that these viruses are using intentionally to mutate at most. I mean, and yeah, same with biotech. Great. And how about you, Terry? What's your take on this? Because yeah, again, you're a more practical guy, as I know.
Sure. So I think the pandemic has completely changed our lives. How people interact, how people do business, even how local government communicate with people and curb the spread of the disease. All have changed. And we know that computational vision and NLP are the two major paths to apply AI. So in short, for CV, we have seen robotic solutions that can not only perform a facial recognition under the mask, but also measure the temperature for screening purpose as well. But since I'm from an NLP company, so that's not my focus today. I want to share a few of NLP solutions, since what my company is specialized. So we basically provide two solutions, mainly focusing on communication and information processing. So the first one is the pandemic prevention and control bot, and this is pretty much a chatbot based on the deep learning and allow text and voice input, and it provides answers to people's inquiry and related to COVID-19. So for example, you can perform a self-screening check. You can get an answer from hard questions. You can check the outpatient vacancy, and you can also access directly the disease prevention tip and the pandemic map as well. So there are a lot of things you can ask and check in the bot. So in general, the bot provides 24/7 immediate assistance to end users without requiring any human in the back. So this is the first solutions. And the second solutions we deployed, it's an AI phone bot, to a number of local government agencies, which can make an automatic outbound call. And these phone calls are completely done by AI and perform many important tasks. So for example, if you have a travel history in the past 14 days, and the phone bot may call you every day to ensure first you are staying home, and two, you are in a normal condition. And if you report a situation, and the AI system basically will note it and in the call list, and then they notify the controlling officer to follow up with you right away. So we all know that during this critical moment, screening is one of the most important and useful ways to curb the spread. So but we are short of hands, especially for those medical professionals. So I think the above solutions do the best to release our medical professionals from repetitive jobs and allow them to focus more on the critical tasks. So you can see our solutions mainly focus on interactions. So that's currently one of the major focus area that NLP is on. And we discover a good way to combine the technology with practical solutions. And we are very proud to say that both our solutions deliver first tier results based on some benchmark reports, and also in both the technical and practical ways.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Looks like the COVID-19 pandemic has brought you a lot of opportunities. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
That sounds great. And now you have new clients in both 2G and 2B segments.
Yes, we actually do a lot of supporting job to them. Not all of them are for profit, but it's good that we see a technology can really help people. So I think that's the vision we are trying to achieve all the time.
Great. Just glad to hear. One thing to our audience, I want to tell before we continue the discussion. It's just my fault. Sorry, I forgot that we have the audience poll. What is it? We ask you a question. Do you think China is going to lead the AI industry in the next few years? Kind of plain question, but I think that the binary answer is what we want to get from you. So if you think that yes, it's going to lead, type A in the chat. If you think that no, it's not going to lead because of some reasons, you can type B. And at the end of the discussion, we will have the results, and you'll see. Because we combine several platforms, right? And we have people watching and listening to us on several platforms, and so we'll let you know how it looks like. Okay, then we can jump back from COVID-19 to more long-standing trends. And the second question today is about AI itself and the hype waves that I've mentioned already in this session. So many enterprises around the world were trying to deploy machine learning, right, since 2010. And soon after realized that though the new technologies are powerful, but they're also limited. So we have software and hardware limitations. And they're sometimes just difficult to deploy because of different reasons, including other technologies, including competition, some characteristics and specialties of certain markets, lobbies, etc. And we right now have the new decade, so it's 2020. It's a half year, not past 2020 already. And of course, we will have new challenges because the things that I've mentioned are more about the previous year or 2 years ago, right? And now we have new challenges and of course new opportunities. So yeah, let's start from Terry. what do you think are the new challenges that AI companies are facing at the moment? And yes, what is the conceptual difference between the challenges that the companies are facing now and those that they encountered 10 years ago or maybe 5 years ago?
Yeah, I think this is a great question. As time passed, I think most people in the field are getting more realistic about how AI can do and cannot do, and which is, I think, it's a good thing for us to bypass the peak of inflated expectation and then come into a more mature stage. And I think as I always share with my clients, I think AI is just a baby, and regardless of we have a pre-trained model and those algorithms we have developed and data we have collected, we have know the truth that there's no no one size fits all solutions for all AI. At least at least it's at this moment. And when we come into a new niche vertical or scenario to apply AI, we need time to fine tune the model to best fit the specific situation or a particular task or even to a target audience. So in my opinion, the number one challenge here is the mental process of ourselves of our mindset to cheat AI and to give more patience to this I think still new technology. That's the first challenge, I think, mentally challenge. And the second challenge is we lack good quality data. That is what that means is those data are well annotated, ready to use. I think data is like a fuel in our AI model, and without a fuel, an engine cannot sustain to operate. And I think this is also the the major challenge that most AI companies are facing, not only in China but also in the world as well. So back to your questions about the conceptual change, and I think a decade ago we barely have the concept of deep learning, or the neural network. Those are the the new concepts we have in 5-6 years ago. So we have much less computational power to run complicated model. The quality data is short. Most people don't know about AI, and today we have much more than what we had a decade ago. And I think this is a major change, and this is also the positive side that we see this not so mature technology is getting its advancement.
Yep, that's a great answer, because of course we're getting better, we're growing both in terms of scale and in terms of quality. And the challenge with data that you mentioned is a big thing. There are some companies in China. There is a company that has 300,000 people on board just for data labeling, right?
Exactly. Yes.
And it's not only one company. There are some other firms, and not in China only. I mean, the whole SAA, Southeast Asian region, is filled with such firms. Okay, great. And Stella, I know that you have a lot of insights into this topic just because you talk to startups every day and what kind of challenges they face. So it would be great to listen to your insights, your thoughts about it.
Yeah, actually, I always talk with those AI companies that fundraising should be their first challenges, because AI industry seems to reduce the human labor, right? But it's actually very labor intensive, because the reason you just mentioned, the data labeling. Actually, data labeling still needed the human labor. So the cost of AI technology is not as low as people think. So actually, the AI companies always raise a lot of funds to support their R&D department. So actually, they still face a lot of fundraising problem, but despite the funding things, there are still a lot of obstacles on the deploying their application, their products, deliver their real products to their clients. Still for the data labeling things, and second, I think lack of the proof just like Terry said, AI is still a baby, especially the deep learning just developed by this decade. So the technology is still really mature to have some real case products. So and I also heard a lot of those technical guys tell me that they are hard to explain their strengths to their clients because of the clients didn't see any like publications or this real data to show the result, show the outcome of after they utilize the AI technology. And the third problem is integrating the AI technology into an existing system is very complex, even more complex than to just adding a plugin into a browsers. So so it's really needed the enterprise, the users, the clients to work with those suppliers. They need to make sure that everyone in this process, even the end users, they need to have a complete and put some effort, even the money to building a good environment, especially an environment for the testing to those AI companies. Because especially for those biotech companies and the manufacturing enterprise, it costs a very high budget to build up a real environment for the testing. But if the data, if the environment is not qualified, then it's nonsense for the AI adoption. So it still takes some years to really meet AI world, I think. But I think that's just some challenges for those AI companies. But as Terry told that there are still a lot of improvements in AI. So I think for the conceptual perspective, there still have some changing in these years, like neural network and deep learning, which was a little bit further than machine learning actually. But it's really hot, really a buzzword in VC industry, and those VC firms, some giant VC firms have invested a lot of AI companies to do those deep learning. So I think after those different industries' effort on developing AI technology, it should be very promising in the following years to see some really commercialized products. And for the second question, what these Chinese AI companies can differ from other regions AI companies, I think especially for the data labeling, the Chinese labor was much cheap than the other regions. So actually for even the data access and the data labeling, the China AI company has a very big strength on the pricing things. So we have invested a data labeling company, which is located as Malaysia, and he its name is Hands actually, and it wants to enter China market. But we also help them to reach out some end customers, some clients, but the clients still think their price are higher than similar Chinese company. So I think the Chinese AI company should have a very bright future actually. Yeah.
Okay, so just to clarify, the Malaysian company that you mentioned is Hands, right? Mark Koch is the founder.
Yeah. Actually, they really want to unlock Chinese market, but sure. Yeah, it's a little bit hard. Yeah.
By the way, we met Mark at the last WIM World Innovators Meet last year, and we had a great conversation on what they're doing and how they're trying to do this. Yes, it's a great company, and your points are exceptional as well. I really like the idea of this gap between the theory and practice. Both of you mentioned it, and yes, that's right. This is what we have, and this is probably the largest challenge, because the theory is far away and the practice is just here, because we have some physical limitations, starting from Moore's law, right, and ending with data of low quality, a lot of challenges. And let's talk about the most, again, practical and pragmatic of those, which is applications, right? The application layer has always been a priority. And now that the way you deploy AI and the pillars of AI, such as machine learning or NLP, into different industries and different business models are different, essentially. So we are really curious about which industries, especially in China, are the most or more successful in leveraging AI than others, and which are less successful. And another thing is, I would probably ask you after you answer, because it depends, right? It depends on how you answer. Point about the future, whether it's going to change. So, I mean, let's concentrate on the first part. And yeah, I want to address this question to Stella first.
Okay, I think nowadays actually AI was utilized in a lot of sectors like medical and healthcare and education, traveling, and even the retailing and manufacturing. But I think how to say that what is successful or what is not successful, because this stage for AI is still very early, so you cannot judge it from now. But we can see a lot of technology is really mature, like the voice semantic recognizing and those image recognizing, right? But it still have some, just like what we talked previously, so have some problems and still have some obstacles on deliver those products. And there are also a very high desire for those traditional industry to improve those existing technology, AI technology, I mean. Like we have invested in voice prints developing company named AI Sense, which is founded by Dr. Liang Song from Tsinghua University. And their core technology is not the voice semantic recognizing, but the voice print recognizing, which is quite difficult, quite complex to be commercialized as a product. But they already launched their first product named Otter, and they also work with Doom now, provide to the Doom users. So I think those kind of products are easy to be a real thing. But something like the market is not able to be scaling up immediately. Those technology could be a little bit developing slower. So it cannot be till like not successful, but just much slower. Like we also looking at some like I mentioned the AI for new drugs developing, the AI for disease screening. I think this also very promising, but it need a longer process to make it come true. Like it need to take a lot of clinical trials, need to be licensed by those regulation departments, say FDA, something like that. So it's still need to take some time to come true. But I think it should be successful in the next few years. And I would like to mention about the AI for logistics. I think it could be very successful in China, because the China logistics industry was very leading in the world, actually, much better than US ones. So I think those kind of sectors could be very promising.
Oh, sounds good. Yes, especially what is successful, right? It's hard to define, just because right now some people believe that higher NPV is successful startup. Some people believe that startup that makes some social impact is successful startup. And yeah, there are some other dimensions that can define whether a certain company is or is not successful. Yes, looks like you are really focused on healthcare and have a lot of knowledge in the space, and I think that healthcare is what is going to define the shape of AI as we have it in the AI industry in the next years. Great insights, thank you. Just want to know what Terry thinks about it, and yeah, especially the second part of the question, which is about the future.
And I think the success of leveraging AI relies on at least two elements based on my observation. First one is willingness, and the second one is urgency. So those industries with more budget, and also relying on new technology to create a uniqueness, and they're trying to stay competitive, have more incentives to adapt AI. So based on that logic, and also in the real, on the real thing as well, I do see that financial and internet sectors are more successful in leveraging AI. So first of all, they have a very fast growing demands that cannot be, handled completely by humans. And secondly, huge number of data accumulated every day to fuel the advancement of modeling and algorithm. So especially a lot of tasks in the financial and internet sectors have patterns to follow. And I believe, they are, those patterns are repetitive, have high frequency to show up, and also have a quite obvious workflow. And I think AI is very good at tackling such data, such jobs as well. So I think, finance and internet sectors are, I believe they are doing quite well in China. So I noticed on the other hand, your second question is about which industry doesn't do quite well, right? So if we follow that logic and then think reversely, I believe some industry did facing some very unique tasks and doesn't have too much data and do not have a standard workflow, and those have they are quite challenging to adapt AI. So, and I think currently traditional manufacturing and some energy sectors, they probably one of those, that doesn't do quite well, or they probably do not have a lot of scenarios they think is quite suitable for AI solution. So that's our observation. And so what's going to change in the next few years? So I think the application domain of AI, I think is getting deeper and also wider than before. So for example, we do see, we have heard that there's a smart manufacturing that start applying the computational vision technology. So they are, even though they are manufacturing, but they are getting smarter, which is a very good sign. And also many AI solutions such as office administrator, they can pass beyond the constraint of industry, and they focus more on the horizontal solution. So I think those can across, those are the application I believe can across different vertical sectors and more focused on the horizontal functions. So those are some trends we are seeing at this moment.
Yes, it looks like just some industries don't have people involved. Like finance, for example, right? Finance is completely made for people, but say energy management that you mentioned, or traditional manufacturing can be automated without people and without AI, right? It can be quasi-mechanical, and same with energy. Yes, sure. Yeah. And those are good ideas. Thank you. And yeah, so still we are in China at the moment, and our topic is AI in China, and I think that it will be really logical to close our discussion on the question about AI in China. And China was called the AI superpower by The Economist, I believe, and some other publications, of course, though journalists sometimes just create fancy names, but some of them know what they're talking about, and they are based on statistics. And we are also trying to make our research be based on statistics, and we have kind of same opinion about it. So China is, of course, among the top 2 AI superpowers at the moment. Still, we want to know what you think about China's current position in the global AI market and the thoughts about the future. What are your projections on possible shifts, especially in the way companies in different countries, in China and abroad, are using this technology in their industries to apply them to the real cases? So yeah, I just want to start from Stella because, again, the same reason, right? You talk to companies, you have a lot of connections with those practitioners across different industries. Though I see, and it's always that Terry is also working across different industries just because they are serving finance, right? They're serving government, they're serving healthcare industry, manufacturing, etc. But still, ladies first.
Okay. Actually, I think China is quite leading AI industry globally, actually. And the government itself actually is the biggest user and the biggest promoter for AI in China. Because there's a friend of mine, he's the head of Jingdong AI Lab, and he told me that they set up a branch of business as doing the accelerating those traditional companies to adopt AI technology, which is supported by the local government. Like city government gonna pay for those traditional enterprise for using AI technology, powered by AI Lab. By Jingdong AI Lab, I mean. So I think the government really had very big ambitions to catch up with US, and they're gonna be a leader of AI industry by 2030. So I after those high effort by the Chinese government, it should become true that China gonna be leading this industry. And as just we mentioned previously, China has some advantages on data collecting, data processing, and storage things. So I think it's very promising for those Chinese AI companies. And but as an investor, we still pick up the status from all over the world, any corner of the world. So we're gonna compare with the Chinese AI companies with the US companies. So but I found that there are still some weak points for those China AI company. Like first one is the hardware thing, like the GPU, such as GPU, the NVIDIA has occupied more than 70% market share, but the Chinese company are rarely to develop those chips, AI chips. And the second point is the China market really like those open source platform for AI. So, but I've already seen that the Chinese government are supporting on these 2 aspects from now. So I really believe that China gonna be a leader in this industry.
I just want to add that, yes, the second point can be solved by the involvement of the Chinese government, and the first point, which is about GPU, can be solved naturally by using other hardware, because GPU is not the only type of chip that we can use to accelerate artificial intelligence, right? And this is what they're doing at the moment, and yeah, pretty much successfully, I mean, in some cases. So yeah, Terry, let's jump to your answer, and yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I want to anchor what Stella said, and China, it's in I think it's also in a good shape in terms of both the fundamental research and also the practical solutions to the ground. We have a lot of applications that we apply, not letting those AI concepts stay in the sky. So I think the advantage in China, China really put that into a central level of the wilderness for all all parties to to make them willing to adapt the AI into many practical environments that that can really provide benefits to people. You know, those the COVID-19 AI solutions that I mentioned at the beginning are just one of the examples. And I also see that the trend is going to shift the AI application from the to the consumer side to the business side. So as Jay is focused more on the to B AI solutions, right? We are increasing our footprint into many enterprises who are willing to discuss with us how AI works, and also how we can utilize AI to solve our solutions. So those I think it will be a major landscape in China right now. And I also see that one thing a little bit different. It's in the United States, we always study their models, their way to deploy AI solutions. We found that a lot of those are based on the cloud and based on the SaaS model. But in China, that's a little bit different. It's more of the hybrid now, and I think I can even feel that a lot of AI solutions now it's on premises, so they are not on the cloud, but they're local, you know. So the trend is getting a little bit different, but I do see that in the foreseeing years, it's going to be more hybrid in the China side compared to the United States. So I think that's also the major part as well, because as you may see, if we put the AI solutions on the cloud, how you manage your model, how to consume your computational power, they are all the different stories. So those are, I think those are creating the difference between two countries and the ongoing forward basis as well. And I know you have a second question about how the world is going to shift based on that. And you know, China and United States, obviously both countries have first mover advantage, right? But when we have a first mover advantage, we also share the same different benefits with other countries. You know, a possible shift is, you know, countries in the world may observe, you know, China and United States doing quite well and start to they're trying to learn. They're trying to start to adapt similar AI solutions in their own countries that have been proven success in China and United States, and with some localized adjustment. And I think this is to their best interest to, you know, cut off the time in the initial exploration, because, you know, believe it or not, those are quite time consuming, and then they can jump directly to the practical phase. So we provide a lesson to them, and if, you know, there's always some like a trap, they can, if there's like clearly a trap, they can obviously bypass that and then continues. You know, they are not starting from the scratch. That's what I'm trying to say. So yes. I think that will be a major shift in the future. Yeah.
But you never know, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, the combination of edge and cloud in China is one of the features of China's AI market, actually. Mm-hmm. It also differs. I mean, when we look into different industries, sometimes it is just needed to have the compute power on the edge, right? Sometimes you can put on the cloud, like the SaaS, right, and press services. Okay, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. I believe that our listeners really appreciate all the ideas of yours, all the thoughts of yours that you have let us know. And now there's the Q&A session. Our team has selected, and our speakers have selected 2 questions that they think are the most important about this topic. And the first is about the academia and AI, real practice of artificial intelligence and the real applications in business. And the question is, do the speakers feel that there is a strong relationship between where AI and R&D in universities and research institutes is conducted and where AI startups or large firms integrating AI are located? Is there much connection between research and commercialization? So basically 2 parts. First is the geographical aspect, and the second is research and commercialization, where they go together. Yes, this question would be addressed to Stella. What are your thoughts?
Okay, yeah, I got it. Actually, I really feel there's a strong relationship with those AI R&D in universities and in commercializations. Because just like I mentioned that actually the clients, the end market want this kind of technology, but somehow the enterprise are not able to use it because they think they lack of the so because there's really rarely publications and the R&D results and those papers from the universities, it's hard to search out so that the customers think it's lack of the data proof. But actually, somehow the university quite early stage for those kind of technology utilizing. But at the end, for all the human beings, they still need to use commercialized products. And even you are using AI or not AI, how the customers know if it works, it is still gonna from commercialized products. So I think somehow I think the investors are doing those things to reinforce the commercializations. Like we also see a lot of spin-off from universities. I think their challenges are somehow should be the commercialization and real products. A lot of them have developed a prototype or a demo, but it still cannot go to the market because of some the regulation or the market acceptance is very low. So, but I think those university spin-off should be enhanced. The level of the acceptance for the end markets. So I think it would be a very strong relationship with those universities and those end markets.
Yes, I think that one of the reasons for dominance of China and the United States in AI is that they have strong universities, and in China those universities are centralized. We have a huge Tsinghua University ecosystem, right? And Peking University also has some incubators, and it's not only about Beijing, Shanghai also.
Yeah. Actually, we also invest some startups. They don't have their own labs, so they still use the university's labs to test their products. And I think universities, just like you said, incubate or accelerate some new products. But they somehow like a NGO. They don't really for generate the revenue, so they have more long-term insight on the developing new technology, but not for the short-term arbitrage on some, capital gain. So I think university is very important for AI industry.
Oh, great answer, thank you. And another question from our audience that the audience wants Terry to answer is just curious, and what in the person who say that. Just curious if the speaker has any statistics on which industry of AI is trending other than healthcare and logistics. Know that you have answered this question already, but probably this is more in detail, like whether you have statistics, the raw data on which industry is trending. And right. So yeah, this is the question. I think it's pretty to the point, and it's asking you what you can say, like any solid example.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of trending in many industries, and I just there's a lot of examples coming in my mind, but I'll give two, especially that's one audience also asked like what exactly our AI achieved in last year. So any major progress. And I think I just give very simple examples. One is in the e-commerce, when Chinese like to shop on Taobao, and we do see that there's a lot of recommendations on it, a content recommendation. So when I view a shirt, and somehow they are going to recommend a lot of men's shirt with a very similar patterns to me, and I can tell they are on maybe with a collar, without a collar, they are in a squares like program, and something like that. They always can have a pattern. So why the machine can promote these similar items for me and also encourage me to complete my transaction? There are some algorithm in the back that can study the patterns of my behavior. So this is one of the major, I would say the major applications that on an e-commerce, and the very same logic applying in TikTok as well. You by the longer time you stay on one short clips, and the next minute they are going to promote a clips with very similar patterns on that as well. So those are content recommendations, and in AI we call that's a clustering. So they are going to understand what you are trying to focus, and then they cluster the similar things for you, and then promote, deliver to you. So that's one thing. And so those my answers to that question. So there's a lot of industry that's trending. We pay closely attention to the industry. We always can find something that it's applying the AI technology. But just also want to share one thing that it's also I believe they may change, innovate or disrupt the industry. It's right now, as you may know, in NLP path, we are promoting a concept called multimodal. What that means is, before we utilize the NLP model to interact with people, so the machine can understand what humans trying to say, right? And then we add the layers on that, so that we have a voice check, so that I can even speak to the machine, and then the machine can get back to me by voice. Okay, that's fine, but what's next? The next will be I can maybe look at a real digital figure, and then just talk to them like that, right? So we do actually see this technology coming out last year by Baidu, by Sogo, by iFlyTech, and also by Zhuiyi as well. So we create our digital anchor that it's on the TV station. So some TV station already utilize this technology. Like Zhuiyi, we partner with Nanjing television, and I know iFlyTech partner with Beijing stations as well. So we do see that actually technology is getting slowly adopted, and also with the the more mature progress to be, and eventually that's going to be more application domain that we can see in our lives.
Yes, that was a really great example on the e-commerce sector, which is like technology probably feels where money is, like one click and money comes, one click and money goes, right? And we just apply the technology to the thinnest layer between buy and sell. And we're not talking about stocks now. Another question that we received is about AI in the United States and China. As we discussed it a couple of minutes ago. And the question is whether the two countries can be cross-integrated. Like, for example, Facebook copying functions from WeChat, or Twitter copying functions from Weibo, or etc., whether as I understand this question, whether the inverted innovation can start. And yes, Stella, please tell us, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I think the answer is yes, definitely. Actually, I think China has its own strengths on AI developing, like thanks to the IoT facilities booming in China, it can have the access to a lot of IoT data. Like in previously, the data could be like a text format, but nowadays all this data, sensing data, are coming from those images and videos, and those kind of data So actually, China has leading the IoT industry for many years. So it has a better understanding of those data generated by the IoT facilities. So there's also a new word in China named as AIoT, which means AI of things. So I think they also have a lot of new products like the AI robotics in every shopping mall, and they also have a lot of robotics for like firefighting and for the also healthcare. So I think those kind of products, maybe US really need to catch up with the China's market. Despite this kind of AIoT, and also there are another sector like AI as a service to those enterprise, like maybe Zhuiyi Technology is doing. I don't think there are a bigger gap from between the US company and the Chinese company. Actually, they are quite similar, and in some specific scenario, Chinese companies even better than the US ones. So I think there must be some cross-integrate points in between. Yeah.
Yeah, and we have a lot of new innovators coming from China, like ByteDance, for example, which is unique, right? But ByteDance is just on the surface. We have all this IoT, a lot of industrial.
I also saw these AI drones from developed by the Yihang and the Dajiang. Yeah, they are even better than all the others in CES exhibition. So I think Chinese AI company quite competitive actually.
Yeah, China sells drones all over the world. I mean, everywhere, and for different purposes. Yes. That's a funny topic, by the way. And yeah, we received a lot of questions, but so we are limited in terms of time. So I'm asking the last one, and this is the question about whether the concept is overhyped or oversold, as the person that provided us with this question said. And the question itself is: do you think that AI is a bit oversold in China, and that many problems can be simply solved by improving processes without AI? As I get it, applying AI to most things might not improve them, but could open out new issues. So what's your take on this, Terry?
So I think this is a very interesting question. So, and a bit tricky to answer, but I choose to answer that because I think it's the right way to encounter these challenges or suspicions directly. So the short answer is yes, and I think especially in the past 2 to 3 years, when a lot of VCs very interested in these topics, and then like Yvonne said at the beginning of this webinar, that every startup said it's AI related, right? So those are clearly a bubble, and I do believe after the bubbles go out, we know who's swimming naked. So that's a good thing to know. But recently, especially since last year, we do see that a lot of like a fake AI company, they're exiting the market, because you cannot always hide and then showing that you are the practitioner. I do see that the market is getting more matured, and especially the users are getting smarter as well, to see, hey, who's really utilizing AI technology and who is just stay around, And we also come up with some business approach. We call it the AI assessment. What that means is, we as a practitioner, we also believe not everything can be solved by AI, and not everything can be solved by AI properly. So we have to help our client to, it's like more like a consulting approach. We first of all have to understand the pain points, and then we understand, we based on our knowledge to AI, we find out, is it possible to tackle by AI, and if so, what's the process will look like, and what's the challenge to the clients. For example, you might need a lot of data to do that. Do you have that? And you might also have a kind of matured platform to support your future computational power. Do you have that? And do we have equipped IT team to perform your ongoing maintenance and operations? Do you have that? So we list a lot of questions. We want to make it as a more practical way and more straightforward way, like an open box for them, so they can understand their shortage. And I want to share one example that I just have it today. And we have a law firm who trying to they are doing a lot of like a trademark IP application for their clients, and they found out there's a lot of email sending in for the inquiry, and some of them they even attach some trademark for the customer, for the law firm to check if someone is utilizing if some trademark has been registered closely on the database, so that they have to change, right? And then the client's request is quite simple. They say, hey, are you able to first of all classify the incoming email in different categories, and two, if there's some like a trademark related inquiries, can you run our database first to find out if some image are similar to this one? And my first answer is no. And then my second answer is, okay, if you want to do that, what do you need to do? So if you really want to do that, what do you need to do? And I also explained to them why you cannot do that. It's because you are talking about you are collecting unstructured data to let it become a structured data. And this is a very difficult way to change our model. It's not impossible, but you have to spend a lot of time to do that. And then the best way to do that is not in an AI way. You just need to provide a form for your clients to fill out. Maybe if you really want to do it in an AI way, and you can make it as a conversational UI basics, right? And if you really want to do that, and those are more, I would say, more economical way to tackle this problem, than you really reinforce AI solutions into that. So I think to us as a market practitioner, again, we have the responsibility to protect the frame of AI, and also let people know that we are not always trying to sell in AI. We want to sell it in the right way, in the right time, and also in the right domain. So that's the signal we want to share with our clients, and also the way we have to educate our.
Yes, sir. It's an interesting concept, actually, AI assessment. So you mentioned several factors like data, the team, and I believe that data is the most important, right?
Exactly, yes.
So as you said previously. Okay, great. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for the discussion. And it was a great pleasure to moderate this. Done really a bunch of good statements and a bunch of ideas that should be spread. And just quick traditional ads on what we are doing and what we are going to do next. So we will hold another WIM salon in 2 weeks. Yeah, it will be about autonomous driving, robotaxis, personal cars, etc. Not only about China, by the way. So it will be a global scale event. So people that can be interested in it, including our participants or friends, colleagues of our participants, highly recommended to take part and listen to us. And another small piece of advertisement is our website. We are, again, EqualOcean. We are a business intelligence firm, and we are updating daily, weekly, monthly on industries in China. We have a portfolio of companies, which is called the 500 companies that we believe have good, great potential to become the next Alibaba, next Tencent, though Alibaba and Tencent are on the list as well. So companies that represent China on the global technology landscape and global technology scene. And you can also join our social media, subscribe to any of these accounts. We have an account on LinkedIn, which is updated daily. So you can follow us and follow China's innovation. We have a Twitter account, which is also updated daily. And we have a WeChat group where you can discuss issues with us, issues regarding almost everything across different industries that are driven by advanced technology. And we have a Facebook page as well. So yeah, feel free to join us. And the most important part is probably about the deck, the presentation deck, and the record of this video. So if you wish to receive it, you can leave your mailbox here, or you can join the WeChat group here. So just scan the QR code or reach out to us through any of these channels, and we'll send you out the deck and the record. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for listening. Terry and Stella, thanks a lot for your great insights. I wish we will have another conversation about similar or different topics. And yes, have a good night, have a good day. Depends on your time zone. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.